Welcome back to the studio. I'm joined by Lukas Oldenburg. Lukas.
Hello, Rick.
Hi. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, great to talk to you.
Yesterday was the Golden Punchcard, and you presented a solution for Piwik Pro that you've been working on.
Exactly, yeah. I didn't win, but it's still hopefully a tool that will help Piwik Pro admins and especially users of Piwik Pro Tag Manager to do their work more efficiently. And that's the tool I presented. It's basically a Google Sheets extension called Piwik Pro Manager. It's free. Anybody can use it. It's basically you go to my GitHub repository, copy the app script code, paste it into a Google Sheets, run the setup. You need to provide some credentials from Piwik Pro, of course, but then the tool works and you can do a lot of admin-specific things with it. And yeah, it was born out of a necessity. So I had a client that had a really messed up Piwik Pro setup with like 1,500 tags and 4,000 or 5,000 triggers, and making any sense of that or cleaning that up was impossible with the Piwik Pro Tag Manager interface. So I built this tool, and with this it was possible. And it's not just for cleanups, but also for daily work, especially if you have multi-site setups. Yeah, the Piwik Pro HTTP API really helped with that. It's really good. The Tag Manager interface has its challenges, but both together, yeah, I think we should work more with APIs anyway. So build our own tools. It's become much easier these days.
So you scratched your own itch, and I think you've done that before, because this is not the only tool you created and support, right? You are also the famous creator of the what is called Adobe
Analytics Component Manager for Google Sheets by Datacroft. Great name. Yeah, that was my first tool, and actually the Piwik Pro Manager is built on the same infrastructure, so I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. Of course, it's still a lot of work to figure out how the API works and all these methods, and the Piwik Pro Manager doesn't do the same things as the Component Manager for Adobe Analytics. Yeah, I could set it up on top of the same infrastructure, even runs in the same Google Cloud project. Yeah, so it's more than just AppScript. It's really a whole GCP infrastructure behind it with cloud functions, GCP workflows to make sure that longer processes and sequential processes happen successfully, stably, that there's no problem with cloud function timeouts. That longer tasks, like copy 100 tags to 10 different sites, that takes a long time. You could never do that in AppScript. AppScript runs a maximum of 6 minutes. So it's broken down into individual chunks. Firestore helps with that tremendously as well. So that's still a lot of work, but the infrastructure was there, and I thought I might as well use it for Piwik Pro.
Yeah, but it's a very interesting point, right? Because the way you're describing it, you could call it a very expensive hobby, right? It's a huge time investment from your end. It requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of maintenance. Is it all just because you can't help yourself? You just love to build these kind of things, help the community. What do you think it is? What drives you to do these kind of projects?
Yeah, I think I'm not on the level of David Vallejo or something, but to be fair, the Piwik Pro Manager was partially also a client project, but it's usually, or with what both the Piwik Pro Manager and the Adobe Analytics Component Manager share is that they started with a very small feature set, just for something that I needed the client, and then I thought, then it's like, okay, if I have this, I might as well add that, I might as well add that, and then over the weeks and months it grows and grows and grows. So it's not something that I really plan. It is usually caused by some client need, and in the beginning there's also usually a project where I can bill at least part of that work, but it's by no means like if I made the calculation, the time that I spend on the Adobe Analytics Component Manager for Google Sheets, even though it's a paid tool, Piwik Pro Manager is free, it's not a profitable business at all. I mean, I have like 10 or 12 paying clients, and I can say it's like a 50 grand per year that I can raise additionally, but I have to share this with the company that sells the tool, Datacroft or Feldm, and if I count it against the hours that I put in, I shouldn't do it. It's a bad business.
Yeah, so it's passion. Right?
Yeah, it's passion,
curiosity,
it's reputation, and the most important thing is, and I think that's what drives so many of us to create tools. And we saw the submissions yesterday. The Punchcard thing were amazing. Is this incredibly rewarding feeling that you get when you see other people using your tools and saying that they're useful for them. I think this is the main driver behind why I do it, or I did it. This is, client work is great. Client projects, you get a lot of reward and good feelings from that as well. If you see clients using the stuff that you built for them, or they say, okay, now we have a good analytics setup and we can drive deduct some decisions from it, etc. So helping others is rewarding, but building something and then somebody, whatever, in Canada uses it and says, oh, great, really helpful, that's really unparalleled. And that's the thing that drives us to, that's why we put so much more energy into these tools than we might financially sensibly should.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, and obviously finance should probably not be the ultimate driver for everything, right? So that's but indeed, I think the Golden Punchcard is a great example of there's this sweet spot between when a problem is big enough that a serious company will try to solve it, right? Because it's financially interesting enough to build a company around it.
Yeah.
And then there's this sweet spot in between there where it's not really big enough for that, but it's definitely a problem that is, for this community, very valuable to solve. And I think that's where a lot of these tools exist. And that obviously is also what you're hitting the sweet spot on with your Adobe tool, and also now with the Piwik tool, I think.
Yeah, and several of the Adobe Analytics Component Manager clients said this is a tool that Adobe should provide. Yeah, because Adobe Analytics is it's a great tool, but as with any tool, it has its challenges, and one of the challenges is that it over the years it just gets really messy, and it's really hard to clean it up. And if you offer a tool that inherently gets really messy after a while of using it, you should offer good methods of cleaning it up. Yeah. But that probably for Adobe is not a priority, because in a sales pitch, you're not going to win a sales pitch because you offer a method with which the client can then in 3 years clean up their Adobe Analytics. So yeah, that's when the community steps in and does certain things. Yeah.
I think Eivind, I'm definitely mispronouncing his name, but the GTM documentation tool, GA4 GTM documentation tool he created, he released version 3 this year. Yeah. He also showed like, hey, Amplitude has something like this in the tool, and Avo also has something like this in the tool, and I want that for GA4. It doesn't exist, doesn't look like they're going to build it, right? Probably not on the roadmap. Yeah. So he just invested also a significant amount of time to build something really valuable that, that serves the community.
Yeah, he's built a couple of nice tools in the past. I think he won 2 years ago, right? Yeah. No, that was really impressive too. I'm sad it didn't even make it in the second round, but I voted for that one. No, it was very nice and very useful, very applicable. Yeah.
So, thinking about building tools, is this like a sporadic thing, or are you're now gonna plan for next year's Golden Punchcard, build something new, or improve upon what you're creating? You have some ideas?
I haven't planned on anything yet. Let's see. It usually comes out of a necessity, and then you get into a zone, and then you just really work hard on something for a couple of weeks, and then you already have a certain level of that tool ready. So no, I'm not planning anything at the moment. I'm now trying to get the Piwik Pro Manager a little bit of publicity. So let's see how many are actually going to use that. And everything else we'll see. Yeah.
If somebody else is thinking about a tool, a problem that they would like to solve something, you know, with the tech stack you're familiar with, right? So the Google Sheets, AppScript, BigQuery, whatever kind of combination. What are the pitfalls you've learned by building your Adobe tool and now the Piwik tool? Like what can you help people with?
Maybe it's don't be so self-delusional just because you are totally convinced that this tool is absolutely time-saving and money-saving and whatever. It's really hard to make that obvious for other people in many cases. I mean, there's some that immediately agree and others don't see the value in it. Mm-hmm. So to make a tool that is whose value is understandable for others is probably hard. So the whole marketing and sales and explanation aspect is really big, and that's why the serious tool vendors have a huge sales crew and account management crew to bring the message, to spread the message, to keep explaining certain things. And of course, as a one-man show, I can't offer that.
So maybe that also means
that's not a technical barrier. It's more like a marketing, sales, communication.
Yeah, thing. But you could flip it around. Yeah. Basically, what it would mean is you want to verify your assumptions, right? So instead, before investing an endless amount of time, you probably want to verify your assumptions a little bit if what you think is so valuable is actually also valuable to others.
Yeah.
Maybe join a Golden Punchcard competition to see how many people get excited.
Exactly, yeah. And I forgot what I want to say. If you want to build something that's financially successful, you really have to be super invested and have a long breath as well, because there's so many tools out there. I mean, I don't know how you work, but even though I built some tools myself, I try not to have too many tools because I try to have a few which I use intensely, but not too many. If too many just divides my attention too much. Yeah. It's really hard to get a tool to a level where it can be scalably sold. Yeah. And if you're good enough to sell your manpower, your hours, financially, that's always unfortunately not always, almost always a better investment.
Well, at least in the short term, right? I think tools have the potential for outsized outcome, but it's very unlikely that it happens. So
and also the thing with maintenance, like I have this Adobe Component Manager tool, and as I said, I have some clients, but that also means I'm tied to maintaining it. I'm selling yearly licenses, so if anything goes wrong on the weekend, I have to step up and fix things or communicate problems, etc. So this is something that you might see not as clearly when you're in this stage. Oh, it's so
this
cool.
is amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, so we have created some courses last year already. And when we did that, we were considering like, okay, maybe this is something we could ask money for, right? Mm-hmm. But then we purposely figured, no, we don't want to go down that path because we also don't want to be held accountable for updating the courses. Yeah. Like it is what it is. Yeah. It is out there. Yeah. This is for the community. Hopefully it gets us some good karma by sharing it. That's our win. But we're not going to charge money for it because we don't want to support it, right? Like it's a strategic choice not to. And the same with the tool my colleague Jim presented. Like we were like, we're not going to sell this. We're also not going to be held liable for it or maintain it. So let's just make it open source. And then if people want to join and help out, that's amazing. And we hopefully continue to use it ourselves.
So your main reason for doing this is then like reputational?
Yeah, you could call it marketing. Like it's contributing to the community that we have also got so much from.
And a good feeling of it for it.
Yeah. Because the moment you start asking money for it, like you said, then you kind of have to support it, right? Like you make that obligation, sort of.
That's it, yeah. And with the Piwik Pro Manager that I had a similar thought, because now, I mean, it's free. I mean, I don't say it's going to be free forever. Maybe if lots of people sign up and want it and maybe ask for support or SLA, I might offer a freemium version at some point, but I'm not planning this at the moment. But one of the reasons for that is also literally not having the burden of being responsible for maintenance. If you have like then maybe 2 paying clients and for those you have to do maintenance and support, and Piwik Pro updates its API, and then you have to update the tool. It's you really have to think. So the tool is what it is. It's at your own risk, no guarantee. It works, and you can write to me if there's a problem, but I'm not obliged to do anything about it.
And I think that's a great way to do it. The community benefits, you benefit from the sharing aspect of it, and then like you said, if tons of people start using it, you can always take a next step.
Exactly. Right? So let's take this approach this time.
So if people are interested in the tool, they can just look you up on LinkedIn is probably the best way to do it, and then they find a link to your GitHub.
I'll post something there in the next couple of days. So otherwise, just write to me on LinkedIn.
And otherwise, you're also on Measure Slack.
Measure Slack.
People can find you.
Blue Sky.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing your insights.
Thanks, Rick, for having me.
And enjoy the rest of Super Week. What's left?
Just a couple of sessions more and then back home.
This was my last interview, people. So thank you for watching. And I hope you enjoyed it. And hope to get to be here next year to walk you through some fun interviews again. Bye-bye.